Hello, my name is Epic Bubble, and I sometimes go by the name of Simon, and this is a thoughts video. Mostly this is a thoughts video on tastes in board games, and your taste is going to be very different to mine, or it might be similar. The game in the background is Clans of Caledonia. Fantastic game, however, I will probably do a few more playthroughs of it before I give my thoughts video on it, but I do recommend it if you do like Euro games and if you do like Terra Mystica. All that being said, out the way, is getting back to tastes. I just said that this is a fantastic Euro. You might disagree. Perfectly fine. That's because tastes in people are going to differ. People are complicated, people are weird, people do strange stuff, and people live very different lives. So you can't expect to like the same game. But there are a couple of things I have noted over my time. So I started playing back in 2014. And the first game I was introduced to was Agricola. Previously, I had watched things like Lords of Waterdeep on Will Wheaton's show, Tabletop. And I was just like, okay, this looks cool. And then I played Agricola and I was like, this is great, this is fantastic. Let me try and get a hold of a copy. And so I went to my local game shop. They said I should try Caverna. I went home, did some reviews on it, and I was just like, okay, shut up and sit down. They really like it. The Dice Tower really likes it. Okay, let me pick it up. And I probably played it at least 10 times in 2014. I still have it in my collection. I still really enjoyed the game. But then what happened is I started to go to board game groups, or a monthly game event, sorry. And what I found was, instead of playing longer games like Caverna, I moved away to much shorter games. Things like, well, Carcassonne. Because Carcassonne is not only easy to teach, it plays in like 60 minutes, and the rules are simple, and it's still a fun and enjoyable game. And so my taste kind of shifted more towards casual games. Games that weren't so serious, games that I could be taught quickly, and games like things like Takanoko, which is still in my collection. I'm not going to play it with the group I currently play now with, but it was an enjoyable game at the time. Then, after that, what happened is I started to get my friends from high school into gaming. We used to do a lot of LAN games, we used to play a lot of Dota together, we used to do a lot of like cooperative stuff, and so we started playing games, and what I noticed was, because they're quite different people, they wanted to try and gang up on me, or at least they wanted to always kind of take me out first, mostly because I was the one buying the games, and so therefore I was kind of perceived as a threat, or because it's fun to beat up on me. Who knows? But the thing was, we kind of found that not cooperative, but more competitive games were in mind. So things like Imperial Assault, where it could be me versus all of them, were really fun, or things like Blood Rage, where we could batter each other down with Vikings. We found that really fun. But then we started getting tired of that, and we started to want games that were less conflict-y. We wanted games that were more co-op, so we found things like Besieged, which is a nice defense game. We found a lot more story games. Things like Tales of the Arabian Nights was a lot of fun to us. Things like Eldritch Horror we particularly enjoyed. And so you can really see how the tastes have gone away from the Euro of Caverna to now storytelling and cooperative games. And then I got into lecturing. I started lecturing game design, and we would do often game sessions of lecturing, and then afterwards we would play something that would highlight that session. But one of the games I kept going back to was a line game, things like The Resistance, things like Sheriff Nottingham, things like Tombs and a Boom. These games all became prevalent because these were fast to teach, but they took 30 minutes to play, which was great because normally the lesson was over in those 30 minutes. And they also had a lot of interactivity to them. There was a lot of conflict, but there was also a lot of personal interactivity, and that was great. So I started focusing on collecting those. And then what happened after that was I got my current group. And my current group is a bunch of people that really like games that have solid mechanics, but also have a mechanic or a theme that they can really attach themselves to. So it might be that you're the one that has all the women in the land, or you might be the one that controls all the silk, or you're the one that sends your slaves to mine rubies or whatever. But generally there was something that we could attach to. And that's been the general idea now. So for example, a game like Clans of Caledonia, we're thinking, well, we want to be whiskey traders, or we want to specialize in making as much milk as possible and just selling it on the black market. Or it might be that we're just going to send our people to the mines, let them mine away, slowly get ourselves money and upkeep. But you can see how my tastes have kind of gone away from Caverna and then gone back to Caverna almost in a sense. But it's changed over time, and this is going to be something that's going to happen to you if you get into board games, or if you've been a board gamer for a long time. You're going to notice your tastes are going to change, and that's perfectly fine. You know, a lot of people still really like playing games like Munchkin. That's great for them. I'm not going to tell them it's a terrible game or it's horrible. It's great for them that they're playing games. But it's also like, I know that those are their tastes, and I know my tastes, so maybe I'm not going to interact with them. But at the same time, I might just find a game that really works well for them and really works well for me. And there might be a nice middle ground, and I might start developing more of those games. I might still want to get into more of those games. That might happen. And it really comes down to the people that you interact with. And that's because a very simple thing is, if your friends aren't having fun when you're playing a game, chances are you're not going to actually like playing the game either. You know, some guy you can see is like sitting there being like, oh, this game is not good. Then you can kind of see that and be like, okay, well, we're not going to play this game ever again. But if you can sit back and like watch your friends and they're all going, this is, oh my god, oh, you bastard, then you're most likely going to play that game again. So your tastes are going to differ wildly, and they're going to differ because of your friends and who you play with. Likewise, if you play a game that you really enjoy the mechanics of, so you might like a line game, for example, like The Resistance. But then you play a game like Secret Hitler, and something that doesn't sit well with you, you might completely go away from that. You might completely say, you know what, I don't want to ever play a line game again. That was not for me. I don't want to have that experience again. And that's perfectly fine. A game might throw you off on it. And your collection will change over time. That doesn't mean you have to throw out games that don't match your preference anymore. Chances are you'll most likely go back to them at some point. I keep a lot of games around, like Go Cuckoo, which is a really nice dexterity game, but I'm not going to play it always, but I will maybe break it out as a gateway game to introduce players with. Also, a thing might be that your games will change over time. For example, you might go on Kickstarter one day and back a game because you think it's fantastic, you think it has some really cool mechanics, and you like that genre at the time, and then 2 years later when you finally get it, it might just not live up to your expectations, and you kind of will go off of it. Like Masmora, Dungeons of Arcadia. I still really like the game, but my group kind of doesn't. Well, they like it, but they're not going to play it ever again, only if I really, really ask them nicely to. But you can kind of see how my taste has gone from being like, oh, okay, dungeon crawler with dice, and then it's like, well, no, it's not really that good enough for my group anymore. And that's fine. I'm not going to get rid of it, though, because that would almost kind of be a waste of money. And likewise, again, it could be in 2 years' time, I want to go back into miniature gaming. I might want to pick up this second season of it, or whatever, because it might improve the game design, or it might be something that I will then get into because I have a different group. It's completely likely that my group might change. I hope not. I really like the guys I play with. But again, I know that my tastes might change. Likewise, it's the reason why I'm picking up games like Arkham Horror, the card game. This is a really nice two-player game of storytelling, and also you have an investigator and things just go horribly wrong. But 2 years ago, I probably would never have looked at it. Now, I'm like, oh, I'm pleasantly surprised. So the thing is, your game taste will change, not only based on who you play with, but also the games you play. And it's just going to happen over time. It's not something to be worried about. People are completely different. You might have a group of people that really like conflict. I know the one guy I used to play with, he was a huge sports fan, so he really reveled in the conflict. But at the same time, he hated any game that had story in it, or that you had to explain something thematically to him. And that's fine. But again, one of the things you realize is that you kind of get attached to the people that you share a common interest in. If your friends really like Euro games, and you like Euro games, those are the people you're probably going to hang out the most with. But if your friends really like light and simple line games, and you're more of a Twilight Imperium fan, you might not necessarily hang out enough. It's all who you interact with and who you have fun with. And again, that's fine. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this video. I would love to hear your comments. Obviously, I would like to know if your tastes have changed, or if you have always been a person that likes a particular genre. please leave a comment. Of course, if you have enjoyed this video, remember to hit the like button, and of course subscribe if you want to see more videos. I will most likely have a review or a thoughts video on Clans of Caledonia within the week or two, hopefully. Anyway, if you have enjoyed this video, thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.